Good evening and welcome. Welcome to Fight CPS and Stop Taking Our Children. I'm your host, Bob Pace. I've been doing this now for 19 months. I started in October of 2023. That's over a year and a half ago. Wow. And I've been fighting CPS myself for 15 years. It started back in 2010. And boy, looking back, I wish I knew the rules I've come up with today because I've never had my children taken from me. Now I'm on every day at 10 o'clock, Monday through Friday in the morning. On the weekend, I'm on at 8 o'clock in the morning. Then the evening, I'm on every night at 7 o'clock, 7 days a week. They're 1 hour live stream, and it's the West Coast of California. I'm on Pacific Standard Time. So I'm 3 hours behind the East Coast, 1 hour behind Rocky Mountain Time, 2 hours behind Central Time. And in Europe, I'm 8 hours behind in England, and in the main time of Europe, I'm 9 hours. The reason why I bring that up is because this is a worldwide live stream, meaning anyone that has internet worldwide will be able to pick up this live stream from YouTube. It's about the child protection, what I call system. The child protection system is a government entity here in the United States that was created in 1962 by Congress, passing a law that we have our children protected from neglect and abuse. The agency responsible is social services, and social services in turn formed the child protection system in every county and every state. Now there's different names, and so that's why I don't use the Child Protection Services or the Department of Children and Family Services or the board or all the other names, Department of Children's Services. There's so many different names. So it's so easy for me to say the Child Protection System, or CPS for short. Everybody pretty much knows CPS. And if you Google it, it's easy to find a lot of cases. And you refine your research by putting in the city and then followed by the state. And if your city is a small city, then put a comma and put the next city that's big closest to your city. So the city, comma, big city, your state, and then the letters CPS. But if you're from another country, put in your country, then put the letters CPS. And you'll see how much thousands of articles will show in that particular city or that particular country with CPS. And if you want to refine your CPS, let's say you want to find an attorney, so you may want to put after the letter CPS, put in a juvenile law, family law, dependency lawyer. And then you'll find all the lawyers that are in that town, and that way you can do my number one rule, which is have a professional attorney. Background in juvenile court or juvenile law, family law, and dependency law. Those three areas go hand in hand because the child protection system uses dependency court. That's where they enforce the rules with the child protection system. So I'm doing 14 live streams a week, week after week, month after month, year after year. And I've talked to over 1,500 people worldwide. And when I mean worldwide, I have right now 23 countries, including the U.S. My latest country was Republic of Congo. But I have other countries, Indonesia, India, Bangladesh, I have the Middle East, Saudi Arabia and Libya. Then we go to Africa, and I have Liberia, and then Sudan, and then the newest country, Republic of Congo, and then Rwanda, then Mozambique, and then several provinces in South Africa. Then up to Europe, I have England, Scotland, Wales, Denmark, and Sweden. Across the pond, I have North America, Canada, and the United States. And I've talked to all United States, including the District of Columbia, then south of the border of Mexico, then down to South America on the east coast, north of Brazil, is Grenada. Then across the South Pacific to the west, I've had New Zealand and two states in the land down under, Australia. That's Queensland and Victoria. And anyway, I'm a worldwide traveler. I was watching the events right now in Burleigh Heads, Gold Coast, Queensland, Australia. It's a surfing event. My background is surfing. I've been surfing all my life. I've been surfing since I was age 7. So that's going on 68 years I've been surfing. That's a long time. I started at age 7, so now you add the 68 and 70, see how old I am. A dinosaur. I'm not a dinosaur. I'm forever young. People ask me how old I am, I say I'm forever young. But this is a serious matter, your involvement in CPS. I know you did not plan it. And it's sad because you can't tell the good guys from the bad guys. You can't tell the good CPS from the bad CPS. We've always tried to protect our children over the years. And history, CPS itself, says there's 3 parts to CPS. Part 1 is from 1600 to 1875. Those were the early years in colonial days and the development of our country and so forth. And there are documented cases of children being abused. Then a big turning point happened in 1875. The American Indians, who were the first nation's immigrants, we're all immigrants, by the way. Just after you're born here, you're a Native American. And once you're born here, just as much as a Native American as an Indian is. Yes, the first immigrants were Native Americans. And they migrated from Asia across the land bridge in Alaska and then filtered into Canada, where they are called the First Nation people. Our Indians got his name from Christopher Columbus, who discovered the Caribbean area and named indigenous people Indians. So that's where they got their name, because Christopher Columbus thought he had discovered India. So he named Indians after India, but he was nowhere near India. He discovered the Caribbeans. And so for many years in school, ever since there was school, I guess, people have been taught that Christopher Columbus is the one that discovered America. And it was in our history books and stuff. But that all changed. Who discovered America? Well, of course, the Native Americans, the first immigrants. Then came the Vikings. The Vikings went as far west as St. Louis, Missouri. Far north is Nova Scotia and parts of Rhode Island and different parts of the country. They met the Native Indians and they didn't get along. They're both warlike people. And the Vikings didn't want to settle here. They did settle in Iceland and Greenland, but they didn't settle here. But the Vikings were explorers, just like the other Europeans were. The English, the French, the Germans, the Spanish, the Portuguese. Christopher Columbus was a Portuguese. And they all were discovering the world. Some, like Magellan, went around the world, discovered Hawaii. But CPS has come a long way. In those early years, the first period, there wasn't a government entity. There was no child protection system. It was based on people that had common sense that children should be treated that way. Well, in 1875, the people at that time were rounding up American Indians because they said they were savages and we couldn't work with or live with them or whatever. And they're preying on these people because they had some modern technology that was brought over from Europe and stuff. So these Indians were rounded up and put on reservations, and no longer could they roam free. Lakota Sioux were the last of the roaming ones, and they were too brought in. And people like Crazy Horse and Sitting Bull were murdered. It is sad. And the American Indians' children were put up into boarding schools, Indian private schools, run by Christian organizations and very well disciplined. And they were told to make the kids like the Europeans, like the same kind there. So they were told that they could do it that way. It was sad. American Indians were proud people. They used the land wisely. They respected each other and were very kind. There were, of course, bad tribes. I know the Crow did not like the Lakota Sioux. I know certain tribes during the Revolution War teamed up with the British, went after the colonies, the settlers, and so forth. But I don't want to dwell on, the history of American Indians or the history of the world. I'm here to help you understand where CPS came from. So these Indians, children were rounded up, hairs cut, put in private school, disciplined, and never saw their parents. So the next period of time is from 1875 to 1962. And it was societies back then that protected their children, rich societies. Now, history with the current child protection system we see started in 62. That marked the third period of CPS. In 62, Congress enacted a law that basically informed social service to create an entity with social services, social workers, to protect our children from neglect and abuse, and to further do family reunification. In 1974, there was laws that were passed, and the laws that were passed could do what they did with the Indians. They could, with everybody. I can jump with the Indians here. In 1974, they passed the laws that run our CPS, our protection of children's. But from 62 to 74, which is 12 years, there are actually no laws. There was an organization, and people were starting to report them, people that parents that abused children or other people abused children. But in 74, they came up with the laws. Then in 78, they had was called ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act. Now in 78, they finally said to the Indian children especially, that if an Indian family had troubles with its family, that children could be put on the reservation if that Indian child was registered with one of the federal recognized tribes. There's 548 recognized federal tribes in our country. So if you have about 0.25% Indian blood in you, because generally speaking, most Indian tribes say you have to have a minimum of 0.25%, 25% Indian blood, then you could be registered by that tribe as an Indian of that tribe. And if that is the case, CPS can no longer take the children. The children had to be turned over to the tribe, and the tribe does family reunification and would try to get the Indian children returned to the Indian families. So that was an important year in 1978. The next era on the timeline is 1994. President Clinton was our president, and he signed into law called the Incentive Act. What happened was Congress came up with a great idea. We're tired of having family reunification take a year. We want the kids processed right away. So they said, we'll give bonuses to the child protection systems, bonuses of $35 per child, if you get your children adopted through foster care. Now that's sad news because family reunification was put on the back burner, and parents, the biological parents, didn't have a recourse. Now, studies have shown the best parents to raise children are the biological parents. So in 1994, Clinton did that and was collecting a lot of money. And it was sad because family reunification was put on the back burner. Today, I think it's cleared itself back to doing family reunification. In fact, the next date I could find on the timeline after 1994 was 2025, when Joe Biden, the current president, in January 25th, on a Saturday, signed into law a new reform of the health welfare. Let me see. I get the right name of that. Hold on. The child welfare reform. The child reform was signed into law, and it's the family support that was signed into law. This is something that really no news media followed. And this happened in Washington, D.C., and it was done through Congress, and they made a lot of changes in there. They made a lot of changes to the Welfare Act of Children, which is affecting social services and the child protection system. Now, if you want to look it up and look at the details and what it's all about, it's kind of important. They did get some more money, $175,000, which is chump change because CPS makes over $1 trillion a year in money. There's an unlimited cash flow from the federal government to the state and from the state to the counties. There's no accountability for the money is spent. There are no board of supervisors, no board of directors that monitor the going on of the child protection system, whatever the name it's called. There's nothing. It's really a very, very sad state of affairs. Now, this case, I think, has a number. It's HR 7906. So you need to look that up and look up the background. And I need to go back to my room right now because I'm reading from another page here and make sure I haven't missed anybody that comes into my room. Now, some ways you can interact in this live stream is you can text me messages. Now, I'm broadcast on YouTube. I'm using the StreamYard application as my software. And you found me on Facebook, Fighting CPS with Bob Pace. But I'd love to have you text me a message. It can be either about a comment or a question, and it must pertain to CPS. Please state your first name, your city, your state, and if you're from outside the United States, your country. Also, please tell me about your CPS case from beginning to where you're at. That is important. because I can understand from looking at all the people from different states and different parts of the country. Now, I have 23 countries that I've talked to here that's either text a message or even called. I have a sweet mother from South Africa who calls country code 27. Also have a sweet mother from England, country code 44. And all of you that are my regulars that come into my room, I'm so proud that you show up time after time, twice a day. There's about 25 or 30 of you. And you add a lot to this room. I appreciate it. Now, we do have some people in the room. We have nobody texts and messages. But I want to go over the other way that you can go besides texts and messages. You can also be a guest. And I had a guest on last night. Her name was Jackie. And she was from Kansas City, Missouri, I think. Very sweet that she was talking about her case. To be a guest, all you're going to do is contact my show producer and send her an email. It's grace@vincentwdavis.com. Now, you just pick one of my 14 shows. You just say, I want to be Bob's Sunday morning show or Bob Wednesday night show. That's all you do. And she'll take care of the rest. She'll send you a link. They'll get you on StreamYard. And with that link, you can participate with me and, be able to ask questions and help other people that call in or that text a message in. It's really nice to have guests because I can have 9 of you, including myself. It's 10. It's 10 of you. So to be a guest, you're just going to go ahead and email Grace, my show producer, vincentwdavis.com. Now, I want to thank Grace. She's been a marvelous help. She's my show producer. And thank you, Grace, for all that you do. So you email Grace at vincentwdavis.com with what show you want to be on, the show you want to join and be my guest on. I think that's great. Also, she'll give that link, and if you get knocked off, use that link again. It's good for that show. Also, she'll tell you what you can do and not do, such as such as eating or smoking. That's a no-no. Or using names of children or social workers or judges. That's a no-no. Things like that. She'll tell you what to do and say. She'll also help you work out your computer glitches getting on and so forth. But basically, it's a link, and you just click the link, and it takes you to StreamYard and take you to the YouTube. And you right away will be able to talk on my show with the rest of the people. Now, a third way you can interact with this podcast is to call in to my number, 626-698-0990. That's my office number. I had a bunch of you call this morning, and I'll have a bunch of you tonight that will call. It's real easy to call in at 626-698-0990. You'll reach my number. And we have about 25 minutes left to call in. And again, if you want to talk longer or maybe be able to get on quicker, you can be a guest. But being a guest or calling in will qualify you for a free 15-minute private Zoom consultation with Mr. Davis. That is free. Now, Vincent Davis is my attorney, and I want to thank him for what he does to help other people out here. He really cares about you guys, and he does a lot of volunteer time himself. With Mr. Davis, it isn't all about money. It's trying to understand the process, because the process is very, very hard, cumbersome, can be very cold. This is where you have to learn not to show emotions and let your anger combat the CPS individuals. Now, I know LA County's bad, Orange County is bad, and we got somebody calling in already. Great. Good evening and welcome to my live stream. This is Bob Pace. Who am I speaking to?
Hi, this is Vanessa Rodriguez.
Hi, Vanessa Rodriguez, and a warm welcome. Have you been on my show before or seen my show?
I have not, no.
Oh, okay. And you have a CPS case?
I had one prior.
Oh, I hope it worked out.
I lost my dad.
Oh, no. I don't want to hear. I'm so sorry to hear that. Where are you located? What part of the world?
I live in Minnesota.
Oh, Minnesota, the home of the Great Lakes, right?
Yes, yep.
Okay. What city or county is that for you?
Wadena.
Wadena. I'm not sure. What city is that close to?
It's kind of like Minneapolis.
Okay, I know where Minneapolis is.
Or Brainerd.
I haven't had too many calls from Minnesota. This is your probably third call.
Okay.
And, I talked to over 1,500 some people, not only from the United States, but from around the world, 23 countries,
Yeah.
A lot of people there. So,
I'm familiar with Vincent W. Davis. I've been following him for a while.
Okay.
So I do know that his attorneys do work around the world.
Right. Well, he himself, he'll go some places and things. The other day, he was asking a couple from Georgia wanted to ask him to retain him. And so I got a quote there. So I know he does a lot of different places, not only locally, because right now he'll do for LA County a $5,000 retainer and he's $500 an hour, but that's for LA County. So it all depends.
Right.
But your case, you like
I'm from California originally, so.
Okay, was your case in California or Minneapolis or Minnesota?
Minnesota.
Oh, okay. Well, great. Would you like to share your story in Minnesota?
Well, so I mean, it's been quite some time. I did have a CPS case open. I had 3 children, and I did get my rights terminated to 2 of them. And then my mom fully adopted my older son. But yeah, it was a long battle. And
you lost all 3 children?
What's that?
You lost all 3 children?
I did, yes.
So one is your mother is adopted and she's taken care of. How about the other 2? Who adopted them? A foster care people or a family member?
Just foster care family that doesn't live too far from me, but we are not allowed to have contact with them, which was pretty recent that they adopted them. My mom had custody, or she was doing foster care with them for a while, and she had lost her foster care license. And
why did she lose her foster care license? Why did she lose her foster care license?
She lost her foster care license because she was drinking, and she had there was numerous factors in that.
Okay.
But she tried to do her grandparent rights and stuff. She lost that, and then they did fully adopt them out to a different family, and then my mom, she's in the process of suing this county now, so it's still in the process. It's been a long battle, but.
Question. What did you get charged with?
Well, I haven't gotten anything like criminally charged or anything, but I guess just it would just be neglect, I guess.
And neglect, can you kind of elaborate on what the neglect was? Okay. Now, how did CPS first approach you? And when I say CPS, I mean the Child Protection System. In Minneapolis, it may have another name, but just use CPS. How did they first approach you?
So they just basically showed up to my house with a law enforcement officer, and I lived next door to my mom at the time, so they kind of just like sneakily had my younger brother who was living with my mom bring my child to her house. So he was basically already like gone before I even knew what was going on. But
Well,
yeah.
wait
Then
a
they
minute.
basically,
Why would your family talk to a policeman or a social
Well, it
worker?
was my mom that reported.
Why would your mom do that? Didn't your mom teach you don't talk to strangers?
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, I'm not counting you wrong, but one thing that people should do is never talk to policemen or social workers, never answer the door, because only bad things happen
Right.
when they answer the door. Either you're shot dead
Yeah.
5 times point blank by a policeman, or you have a CPS case working there, or a warrant out, or something else in those lines. So answer the door is something you should not practice on doing. And the reason being what I'm saying is you never know who's on the other side of that door. You should have your family members, don't do it either. Don't answer the door. Or your children like that.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then you can better deal with the matter when you find out who it is. Because then you can get an attorney that can represent you.
Right. Yeah, I was not prepared whatsoever. It was, the first time that I had encountered that.
Yeah.
And, I didn't know my rights and everything. I do now. I did take my case to trial with my other two, so I've done a lot of research and tried to get an understanding of that kind of thing. But unfortunately, yeah, I did lose when I took it to trial. So, yeah, they terminated my rights, and I was pregnant when I took it to trial. So they took my daughter from me also after I had her.
Okay, so let's start with the first child. Was this 3 separate cases, or 1 case, or 2 cases? What is this?
Well, with my first child, like I said, I wasn't really aware of my rights and stuff. They had like a timeline, which was 12 months. And I had gone to treatment and did everything I needed to. I had a trial home visit with him. And then I moved back to my town that I was grown up in for the majority of the time. And my mom reported. And
boy, that was mistake number 2. You do not ever call CPS. Right. And the reason why I'm saying that is because you open up a can of worms. Now, I'm not saying if a child's in danger, don't call, but call 911. The reason why I say never call CPS or the police directly is that they have a bad habit of losing records. But if you call 911, it's a public record. They're not going to destroy the evidence there. So anytime that you think there's a crisis, the only call you should make is 911 if it's necessary. And so your mom should have called 911, but she called CPS and opened a can of worms. They brought the policeman out only for intimidation. That policeman only goes there for the safety of the social worker.
Correct. Yeah, and I had a case. Like I said, I had a trial home visit. It was ongoing. I had the 2 when they did open a CHIPS case. So the timeline then kept going, after that, whatever. And then so I had 2 months left. So they basically intimidated me into signing my rights over. So that's what I did because they said
because they say, here's a safety plan. Sign this and we'll guarantee your children back. Well, that's mistake number 4, number 5, where it is. The first thing you should always do when you're involved with anybody that deals with the child welfare system or anything like that is you should get yourself an attorney. People are so hesitant about not getting an attorney. They can say, oh, it's not worth it. Well, I'm telling you, dealing with CPS is like open heart surgery for your heart. And if you don't get a good person, they will not help you. And so with open heart surgery, you're going to get a trained specialist medical doctor with years experience.
Right, yeah.
And that's what you have to get an attorney. But the problem is most people don't carry insurance for attorneys. They carry medical insurance so that they can get a doctor to take care of them, but they don't have insurance because the fees were expensive. Like I just told you, the attorney I worked for, Vincent W. Davis, his retainer for LA County, which is where his office is a $5,000 retainer, and he's $500 an hour. And
he's pretty. But I do know that have heard a lot of good things, and I have heard that he's won most of his cases. So there's good reason that he is that expensive. But
So they came out and caused you call you neglect. Now, how did they find the drugs? Did they test you, or did they see it in the home, or how did they find the drugs?
well, after they removed my child, I had to go to court after 48 hours to have a hearing. I had I guess, yeah, so like the first time around, I did agree to the safety plan for them, and I ended up taking a drug test and working there, jumping through the hoops for them.
Well, at first, when they approached you, came to your house, did they find any drugs? How did they know you're on drugs?
Well, see, like the officer that they brought there was very rude, and he was like, "Look at you! You can just tell you're on drugs." Well, I refused to take a UA, and I said if I didn't, then they were going to. Well, they already had removed my child because they had my younger brother already.
Did you think about an attorney at that time, or you didn't think about an attorney?
I mean, like we did say, like we're not doing anything until we get a lawyer, which was me and my.
That is your constitutional right. Anytime you're involved with the law, you have the right to seek legal advice and have an attorney be with you through all phases of your case. So that is your civil right, and you can go them for a civil lawsuit for violating your civil right. You just need to enforce upon that I have an attorney. I need to meet with him first. We'll get back to you. What is your name and number, and what is this about? That's all you have to say, because the more you talk to them, the more they use against you. And I'm only saying this because I want people to know who are listening to the show to think twice before they allow people in their home and before they talk to strangers.
Right. And we did, and we it didn't really make a difference. So at that point,
why did they get a warrant? Did they get a warrant?
They had an order signed by the judge to do an emergency removal for my son.
Okay.
So it was
now, was that a warrant? Was that done on a warrant form?
It was just a form signed by the judge to have a child in need of protection or safety to remove him. And
did it say the warrant at all on the form at the top?
No.
Did you question the form?
They didn't even show me any form, honestly. Like,
unless you read anything, why would you, as a protective mother, want to give over your children?
Right. Yeah, and I did. They had. So my younger brother, because my mom lives next door, he had came through the back door of my house, and my son went over to my mother's all the time. So it wasn't anything weird to me for him to say we're bringing Jaden over to mom's or whatever, and then come to find out, in the front of my house, there was a cop and the CPS worker. So, like, they didn't necessarily even have to remove my child, I guess. They had my brother do it. And, but they did say that he's not, they were going to remove him unless I took a UA. And then I refused. I did say I wanted to talk to a lawyer. And then, after that, you're kind of in, like, a state of like shock and depression, like they took your child from you. So not knowing, I did agree to their family plan. So
okay.
It was basically just
how old is your brother? How old is your brother?
He was under 18. He was probably
why would he turn his sister in?
And it wasn't him, it was my mom. I don't know if he necessarily knew exactly what was going on. He didn't really know, he didn't know what, but my mom, she definitely wanted my children, and she definitely got what she wanted, although she did lose them now, but she was a huge factor in my case. So, and I don't know if she knows now how CPS is, just crooked, because she's literally in the process of suing them. But yeah, I don't know. I guess does Vincent W. Davis do civil cases?
Oh, he does. He does civil cases.
Yeah, because that's I guess I feel like that's my only option at this point, because I did lose my children fully. So I don't know. I don't know if there's a way that I could even regain that, but I mean, at this point, the foster family has already changed my kids' names, and they're pretty well established where they're at now. But I know that CPS has done a lot of things. I was texting on this I don't know what it is, but for Vincent W. Davis, it was like a computer kind of thing that texts back. But I was saying that they had blacked out. So there's 2,000 pages for my discovery, and it's half of it is for sure blacked out with marker. I don't know what any of it says.
So your mother was the instigator of this?
Yeah.
I've had a lot of cases of people's family members turning against them, which is sad. I too had a family member that wanted our children. It was sad. My wife had been married, and they never liked me from the first. They never came to our wedding, and they never liked their daughter.
Yeah, it's really it's kind of it's hard. It's weird because it's my mom, but there's there's that betrayal that I will never be able to get over, and I guess now my older son has to suffer too, because he's not able to have a relationship with his siblings anymore. So
wow.
Yeah, so it's I don't I don't know. It's hard to cope with every day, but I know that I want to do something towards that so that I can better cope with it, I guess. Or I guess I don't know how anything's going to help really, but I know that they violated my right to the maximum degree. So I mean, the CPS worker that took my children, she got fired for going against their protocols. So but in trial, they said they didn't feel that it had anything to do with my case. So, I mean, when she testified in trial, she literally said that she doesn't recall for every answer, or every question that they asked. That was her answer, was she doesn't recall. So, I mean, she was best friends with my mom too. So it's it's a little weird.
So where's your case now? I mean, what has happened? I mean, they took away your children based on, how did they know you're on drugs? They tested you and your hair follicles said it did?
Yeah, originally, yes. I just admitted to it. The very first
Why
time.
would you admit to something if it was it true?
Yes, it was. Yep.
So you're doing drugs, and now how were these drugs creating negligence of your children? Were you incoherent around your children, or what was?
Absolutely not. No, not at all. Not even close. I guess it was just basically just the fact of me failing a UA was the only thing they can go off of. I mean, I had my own place. I had my son went to school every day, never late. He never missed a day. He was always clean. Everything was fine. He was not abused. He was not neglected by any means. The only thing they had was just the simple fact that I had failed the UA.
Wow.
And it went, yeah. And so the worker, the one that got fired, after everything was said and done, she, like I said, she was very close with my mom, and I know there was something weird there. And she got fired, but they planned on taking my children, and that's what they did. And everything that was I mean, a lot of it was because of my mom. Like, she would be like, well, I don't want Vanessa to visit at my house anymore, kind of thing. And she knew I didn't have a vehicle or any means to really get around to, and well, they had me visiting my kids for a whole year straight every single day at the social service building, and it was very hard. So they also had made it so that I wouldn't be able to have like an insurance ride to get there, or just I could have gotten a ride with my mom, but she's like, well, I'm not bringing her there. So she had asked my social worker to elaborate that I wouldn't be able to get transported by my mom. No visits at my mom's house. Yeah.
Wow.
And so she just really kind of put me through it as much as she possibly could, and I mean, it hurts. It does, but now we're dealing with not even being able to have contact with my children.
So what made you decide to call in tonight?
Well, I've actually, like I said, I've been following Vincent W. Davis for since like I was going through the trial. I did a lot of research, and like I seen that he was offering like to like defend yourself in court and what to do. I took a lot of notes to try to win, and so I've been following him for a long time. And then I also called up, was it last year or the year before that, there was an attorney, her name was True, that had worked there. I don't know if she still does, but I talked to her for like 2 hours actually. And yeah, so basically, yeah.
Wow.
I had a notification pop up on my phone that said that there was a live stream, and I clicked on it, and then I was listening to you, and it said to call in, and I was like, well, I'm gonna do it.
Well, I'm glad you did. And it's nice to have someone from Minnesota, which has been different parts of the country. But even if you admitted that you did drugs, they didn't work out a family reunification plan where they say they put you in a drug rehab program and temporarily put your children with your mom, could watch them until you finish the program?
I did do that.
Okay, so why were your rights terminated if you did the program?
So it was kind of like back and forth a little bit for me. Like, I'm not saying that I'm completely innocent throughout, but it got to the point to where, like I said, I think they had that mission that they were going to keep my children. And so they were just like doing stuff to where I would like fail almost, like not, well, I mean, I had my own apartment at this point after treatment and everything, but they had put in the report that I didn't have any stable housing. They never had even came into my apartment to see or look, or they didn't care to know any of that, or because I don't think they honestly they weren't going to give my children back to me. So, but then also,
what, you think they were vindictive?
Huh?
You think they were vindictive? They just wanted to retaliate?
yeah, they were on like completely on my mom's side. They were like they were all working together. And then, well, when I did go to treatment, they recommended that I go to a place that would allow mothers and children. And my counselor had recommended to have my children with me, but they wouldn't allow it. So I never had got to do that. And then, yeah, there's a lot in there. I mean, even the worker that was on my case originally, she transferred to another county now, but they were investigating her because there was a report that she was having some type of relation with my kid's father, who was also on the CPS case.
Well, yeah. Now, were you married to this man that had to be the father of your children? What happened with him?
No, we were not married. He was at this point in a different relationship with someone else, and he was having visitation and everything too. They never actually like made him do much. He has. Like,
didn't he have child support he had to do?
No, he had like he wasn't a good guy. He had like criminal background, domestics. He's been in and out of jail and prison and for a long time. Although they did actually give him a lot more visitation. They gave him unsupervised visitation. They gave him.
Did he try to see the kids? Did you try to see him?
They did, and we did. We did for a couple years straight. We did everything they asked us to do, but it was COVID, so it was very hard to go around that. And then my mom would always say that, well, she was immunocompromised because she has rheumatoid arthritis, so she would make it. It was really hard to see them during that time. She refused to let us because of her immune system. So. And then when I went to trial, it was during COVID too. So my trial lasted, it was like 2 months long. It lasted my trial.
Okay. Did you have a professional attorney or did you have a court-appointed attorney?
I had just a public defender at this point, and I had requested that I wanted a different attorney, one that was more knowledgeable about CPS, because he was just a criminal one, and they refused it twice.
Right. I need to recognize someone in my room, and I'm sorry, Deidre Payne from Orange County, California, who is similar to what I do. She does a live stream too on Wednesdays, and she says winning a civil case doesn't get your kids back. The family sadly wants the money. My mom is a legal guardian of my 2-year-old boys as well. Keep in mind, suing civil-wise will only win you money, not your kids back. A parent using drugs is not grounds to remove your kids. She says that what you have using drugs is not a ground to move your kids. You need help, and that's help they could give you there. She further says, or you live your civil rights over. You should never lose your civil rights. And so,
it's a. I don't think that I can actually. At this point, there's absolutely nothing I can do to get them back. Right? If they terminated, even if they were.
Well, there's never, because once your child turns 18, they can seek to see you again. Now, I have a daughter that was 12 years old that emancipated herself from her family. She's now 22, and she's made no effort of seeing us. I have another daughter who just turned 36 on May 2nd. I've not seen her since she was 3 years old, and it wasn't CPS. It was a vindictive mother that decided to keep the child and never father see again.
Okay.
And it's sad because you keep hoping that when they're 18 that they'll want to see their biological dad.
Yeah. That's literally what my hope. I guess that's really all I hope for now at this point. And it does it. There's those resentments, of course, but that's not
Right.
gonna really
And
do anything for me. It's just gonna.
Deidre Payne says it was because you're pregnant and they wanted that new baby. That's why they took the baby.
For sure. They absolutely did.
And
yes.
that was Deidre Payne's
Yes.
story too. She was pregnant and they wanted the baby. Now,
Yeah,
she
it was
says,
just really
Deidre
sick.
Payne says you can't appeal if it's with your state's statute of limitations. So we'll have to go here to the
I did appeal it.
Oh, you did appeal it. What happened with the appeal?
I lost that too.
Now,
But
why
my
did you
lawyer
lose your
that was-
appeal? Why did you lose your appeal?
The lawyer that was representing me for that, she talked to me. We sat down, did a face-to-face consultation, whatever. And then she never answered her phone again after that. And then finally, after 6-7 months, she answered, and I was like, "Hi, what the heck is going on?" And she's like, "Oh yeah," she's like, "You lost your appeal." She didn't even tell me. She didn't reach out to me. Nothing at all. I don't know. And so and I couldn't afford I kind of just had to really accept that, and I didn't really know it at the time that it was going to go like that. Otherwise, I definitely would have made it so that I had the means to pay for a good lawyer, because that is a very important thing, your children, But then after I realized that she wasn't, answering, not doing anything, I guess I didn't realize that what was going on or how far the appeal was, or I guess I didn't know that they made a decision either until she told me. So, it's online too. I can view it publicly, the appeal, but it wasn't good enough for me. It still was under all of the things that CPS had lied about, and whatever else they did to violate my rights is what they based it off of. So I don't really know if I even had a good standing chance at that point anyways.
Oh, well, I'm so sorry. That's a hard thing to swallow. And Deidre, thank you for coming on my show and helping out with your expressions there. It's so nice to see you, Deidre Payne. And she has a show on Wednesday night that she does in the evening, a live stream too. And Deidre says you can take it all the way to the Supreme Court. You can do a further appeal, but the statute of limitations, let me see what the statute of limitations in Minnesota. So
it's been a couple of years since then. It's been
okay. It's going to
be 4 years probably. So it's not. I think you have to do it super quick if you're gonna do that. But I guess I didn't know that you could actually take it higher than that.
Yeah, you can take it to the Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
There's the state Supreme Court and then the federal Supreme Court.
Okay. Wow. I didn't know that.
Yes, there is. Every state has their own Supreme Court. And then there's the federal Supreme Court. You learn that in government class in your senior year of high school.
Okay. Well,
they teach it, but no one ever really wants to think about it. In fact, I wish they would incorporate CPS as part of the government class. You're supposed to take a history class in your junior year about U.S. history, and then in your senior year, you take a government class about your local government, like your state, like Minnesota, and then about the federal government. And you'll learn about the branches in the federal government and how they operate. And one of them is the legislative branch, and the legislative branch will talk about the Supreme Court at the federal level. That's where you hear Trump appointing judges to the Supreme Court of the U.S. But every state will have a Supreme Court too.
Yeah, I mean, I would be like, as far as the civil goes, it's not really necessarily for money. I really could care less about that, because at this point, the only thing that I want is my children. Nothing can pay for that. Nothing can compare. But
well, are all 3 children taken from you?
yeah, yep. But I would like to see more or less, and this was like my big thing too, was just like for these workers to be held accountable for their actions. And I'm not saying that I'm not blaming them or shaming them as people in general. Maybe they were trained wrong, or maybe they just, whatever. But they can take accountability, because I took accountability for what I did. And
well, the proof that the social workers, well, we have somebody that was on it named Nancy Schaefer. She was a politician. She was a congresswoman from state of Georgia, and she was murdered at 75, fighting CPS. She wanted to abolish CPS, and they didn't want that to happen because it's a $1 trillion business, and so they murdered her. They made it look like she did suicide, which wasn't the case.
Wow. Yeah, that's believable. That's really scary, actually, because it's just, it's just a vicious cycle. And I know that, I'm sure when people go to school and they're thinking, oh, I'm going to be a social worker or whatever, they don't necessarily know what they're getting into. But then once they do, they kind of just like get brainwashed into that system, I feel like.
Well, if you want to sue, I'm looking at the Minnesota statute of limitations, and it's very detailed. You can do the same thing on the internet. I'm looking at the Office of Reservoir of Statutes, and here it talks about negligence in danger of a child. Persons guilty of negligence or endangerment. And it talks about that. And did you have to pay a fine?
I never actually did get criminally charged for anything.
Oh, it was only a CPS accusations then.
Yeah, and although I do have, which I'm going through right now, because I do work in like the nursing field, and I have to do this every time I try to find, when I get a job through Department of Human Services, they say that I need to I have to fill out all those papers and explain, and it's on my record for my termination of my parental right to my children. So,
that's terrible, because you could never work with children.
Right, and I it's for elderly, and they still, I don't understand how that even works, but it's hard. It really is. And basically they want me to explain how I'm not going to be a threat to vulnerable adults because of my termination of my parental rights. And it's because of neglect, but I've never been charged criminally. So I don't know how that works. But
well, the sue CPS, the statute of limitations to sue CPS is the 6-month deadline to file a government claim.
Okay.
And if you're a minor, you could sue them. It's just 1 year if you're a minor.
For a civil?
For suing them a civil, yes. For a minor, it's 1 year.
Oh, okay. So I didn't know that. I thought you could always go back and try to.
Well, you can always do that. I'm not a lawyer, and I'm reading from a lawyer the answer to question, and I'm not sure if how valid his lawyer's license is. For foster parents, it's 2 years limitation.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't know
So if a minor turns 18, he has 2 years to sue foster parents.
Oh, okay. So they have to wait.
So if he's 18, no, he doesn't have to wait. He doesn't have to wait. He can sue right away. I mean, you can make a lawsuit anytime you want. I mean, when you go to small claims court, it's like a form of a civil lawsuit. You're claiming that there were damages to you because of your rent or whatever the case you're suing, that's a form of, you can
Mhm.
file those all the time. But you're right,
Mhm.
there's statute of limitations. What you need to do is that you admitted that you were a drug user that should not have removed your children. The problem is you didn't have the right attorney, and your
Yes.
court-appointed attorney screwed up, and CPS is
Yes.
very corrupt. And I'd
And
hate
the
to be
judge,
telling you
the
that
judge,
now, because if you had the right attorney, you would never have had that problem happen to you.
right? Yeah, and I know that the judge didn't. I feel like I should have been able to request a new lawyer and be granted one. When I tried to do it on 2 separate occasions, he asked the reasoning for it, and I had a logical reason, a legitimate reason, and he still denied it. So I don't feel like I was represented, even if it is just a public defender. Like, it wasn't good enough. And when it comes to your children, that's pretty important. So,
well, social workers have immunity, which is sad.
Yeah.
They have immunity to certain things, not a civil lawsuit. My social worker committed perjury on the stand. I could sue her, but I didn't have $50,000 for retainer to sue my social worker.
And mine did too, because she did get fired during my case for going against protocol of social services or CPS. So I mean, that right there just says it all, I think.
Yeah.
But there was a lot that they were hiding and covering for them. And this county is very small, like super tiny. So they're all kind of like, well acquainted with each other. They're all probably friends. And there's a lot of crooked stuff that goes on, even not even regarding CPS, just with the whole court system as a whole. But I think that, so like with my mom suing them, like, the other lady that was on here said for the money, it's always been about the money for my mom. And even like with her trying so hard to take my children, and then when she started getting money, it was like, she was like, yeah, I like this, So she made sure that she was going to try to milk that as far as she could. And then now she's suing them for like $1.3 million or something extravagant. But I know that she's hurt just like me because of the children being taken, but they're not going to get them back, no. And I think that a lot of it is to do with the money. And and she's paid for her own lawyer, private lawyers, which she pays a lot for, actually. Yeah. But he could have done better for her. And I did actually suggest Vincent W. Davis to her too. So, but she went and got a private lawyer and whatever. So,
well, the problem being is that, it's like, would you yourself operate on your heart, open your chest cavity and try to repair your heart? Would you do it yourself or have a family friend do that?
No, absolutely not.
Because there's a good chance of a mistake is made and you could bleed to death, or, especially you're working on yourself. I mean, I've heard of people removing bullets on themselves and stuff.
Yeah.
But you should always have a professional. And that's the same thing goes for CPS. You need what's called a professional.
A very good professional, because CPS is pretty hard to fight. They're pretty hard.
Well, that's why you need somebody trained in juvenile law, family law, and dependency law. Criminal law is not going to help you.
No, they're completely different from family law for CPS in general. There's total difference. I don't know. CPS there's just so much like underlying under everything. Like for neglect, even like you can do anything, and they're going to call it neglect, really. And if it's not that, then they'll find something else to call it neglect too. And they don't have to necessarily prove it. They just go by the social worker, the CPS worker's word, which I don't feel is right. And that's why CPS is so crooked, because they lie.
Yeah, they do.
And they're allowed to.
They really do. I've gone over my time. I didn't realize, my goodness, this has been an excellent call-in. I've gone over 10 minutes beyond my time. I'm supposed to end at 8 o'clock. It's 8:11. And I don't mean to cut it short, but I'm so glad you called in from Minnesota and shared your story with us. And I want you to keep listening to my live stream. I'm on twice a day. I'll be on again tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock a.m. in the morning. And maybe there's something we could still work out or whatever, but I guess you're having other relationships, so you're probably having other children, right?
I wish I could, but no, I don't. I can't have any more children.
I'm sorry.
Won't allow that.
What do you mean they don't allow that? What do you mean they don't allow? Allow what?
Well, in Minnesota, if you have your rights terminated, you cannot have any children.
Well, then you just move to another state.
I don't know if does that work.
Yeah. Start all over again. Start all over again in your life. Maybe you'll meet somebody out there that's waiting and that could raise a family. How old are you now?
I am going to be 32 on the 20th.
Okay.
So
all right. No, you're still okay to have children. But, you could explore other states, and you can explore ahead of time and find out if you can have children in other states. That's a sad thing that's happened. And, hey, I'll tell you something that's good news. You have qualified for a free 15-minute talk to the best attorney around, Vincent Davis. I will give you a free 15-minute private Zoom consultation with Mr. Davis. And on the list of your questions, make your questions important and rank them 1 through whatever, and ask your highest question first. And you got 15 minutes to talk to him. He's not a clock watcher, but he'll talk to you. And maybe there's a way that you could do it, either file a lawsuit or have your record cleared up or changed or something. Maybe there's something you could do. You can tell, hey, Mr. Davis, I admitted to using drugs. They'd removed my children, and now, and they started me on a program, but then they eliminated my terminal rights, and now I can't have any more children in the state of Minnesota. What can I do? What can you recommend I do? What do you do? And he may say, get yourself an attorney and try this or this or that. But it's free. Now, all you have to do is text me at 626-698-0990. Write your full name, text your full name, text your email, and then text me your number. I know your number will come through, but text it, because that way I can send the information to my show producer, Grace, who will get in touch with Vincent Davis and arrange a private Zoom consultation with you. And it'll probably be within the week. Okay?
All right. That sounds great.
So maybe that's some reward for calling in. Okay?
Yes, absolutely. It was a great talk. I'm happy that I called.
And I'm glad you did. And I want you to call me up after you talk to Vincent Davis and see if he was of any help.
Okay. I will do that.
All right. Well, thank you, and God bless you, and have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay. That was a really nice call. I don't know how I formed a meeting here, but I got to end my show. Deidre Payne, thank you so much for dropping in. It was really a surprise and a pleasure, you dropping in. So anyway, Deidre Payne, it's good to hear from you. I do remember you, and you're from Orange County, California. And thank you for all your words of wisdom and stuff. And I want to thank the people who left me emojis. I want to thank Christine Ackers and Philistine Gibson. Philistine Gibson is a Canadian and from Canada. Thank you there for the 2 hearts. And then for the thumbs up of Philistine again. Thank you, Philistine. And all my other listeners out there, wherever you are, keep fighting for your children. Do not give up. And this will be Bob Pace signing off. God bless you and good night.